Good morning everybody and welcome back to another video where today we are taking a look at yet another LEGO Legend of Zelda custom set. This time not from Wave 8, not based off Tears of the Kingdom, but this is a remastered set based off one of our old, I was going to call it a classic, but I think we can say disappointment. This is Z0023, this is the Ice Battle Pack from Wave 2, and this is definitely by far one of the most lackluster sets. So as always in this remastered series, we are going to give it a little bit of a glow up, and today I will be introducing you to the brand new all upgraded Z0023, the Ice Enemy Battle Pack, now with an actual build. Let's take a look at that box and that upgrade. So obviously the main initial thing here is that the original build contained nothing but the characters, creating a battle pack where you could army build different members of like the icy enemy factions from across the whole Zelda series, with an emphasis of course on snowpeak mana, but also including things like the Wizrobe from Link Between Worlds and the Keys and Friezard from Ocarina of Time, as well as the Twilight Princess Friezard. Anyway, lots going on. Not only has those still been included in this set, but the budget has been doubled from £15 to £30 to include this section of Snowpeak Mana and a whole bunch more play features. So you can think of this like the original concept was the small battle pack, and then the newer concept is like the £25–30 battle pack that was more recently introduced with the 501st Troopers, that one-way Mace Window tank set, and then the other one that came out recently-ish. You can tell my Star Wars knowledge is lacking a bit. But my point is it's being upgraded from the small battle pack to the big battle pack, and with that of course comes more parts to create a more substantial build, as you can see here. This obviously ties the set more back into Snowpeak Mana with a couple more changes and also a couple more upgrades. You may notice that the original horrible Keys design has finally been fixed. But the new information on this set is of course the 023, the Ice Battle Pack for ages 8 and up, with 320 pieces retailing for £29.99 Great British pounds, with 3 figures and 6 brick characters, which is the same as before. And I've got a quick description for you. Enter the fearsome manor filled with chilling foes in the all-new LEGO Legend of Zelda playset. Face off against the chill foes in a hunt for the mystical ball and chain hidden inside, but watch out for the Friezard's ice breath and dodge the spinning keys to reach the cannon and to fire back. Once inside, rest by the fire and enjoy some soup before claiming your prize. Collect more to build fearsome frozen force to be reckoned with. Generally echoing the battle pack themes while talking about some of our new play features that we have to take a look at today. So let's start off by taking a quick look at the build without any of the characters on it. We'll get back to them at the end. You can see that it represents an outside courtyard from the Snowpeak Mansion, and you can see the wooden doors here. You've got some stairs going up to the top of the ramparts, which is a common feature in the dungeon. But we've also got this feature that isn't usually seen outside, usually inside on the stairwells, and that is this giant iron cage. And these are seen across the dungeon, holding the giant Friezard monsters that have to be defeated with ball and chain before you can go past and climb the staircase. We'll take a closer look at the second. I actually want to start on top of the ramparts with this cannon assembly here. This is of course representing the battlements where you fire the metal balls to open up frozen doorways and other stuff across the things. Naturally this can be rotated around and around and also shot, shooting these 3 ammunitions which can actually be found beneath the stairs. But that isn't all that there is to this feature. In fact, you can remove the cannon from the turntable nice and easily and switch it out. There are 2 options here. We have this snowy rotating base, you're making use of the brand new transparent rod piece that was introduced in Superheroes last summer, or of course the cannon. We've seen what the cannon looks like up there, but because this is a turntable, if you attach the snow pile, you can have this rotating display, which of course is perfect for our flying enemies. Either the Keys or the Wizrobe can go up here to simulate them spinning around, dancing around, and looking for someone to attack. So either we can have the cannon up there ready for your protagonist and aim that at any direction, or you can take the cannon down, put it on the floor to shoot at the Friezard and move it around as you can, or of course, like I've just shown you, you can have the ice bats up here. But that's what more. Of course, you wouldn't want to have excess builds left over, so when the ice bat displayer, as I'm going to call it, isn't up there and the cannon is on the wall, you can actually stick the transparent rod assembly on top of the cage, deliberately designed to fit up here, so that your ice bat or Wizrobe can be posed above the giant Friezard as well, almost acting as if they've been summoned. So every bit can be added to the build at any one time, regardless on which one you choose to have on the wall. Let's move into some of the other details. Of course, down below the battlement is just a thin 2x something wall. You've got some steps decorated with some dark bluish grey tile. Would have loved to add some snow decor, but it just looked a little bit busy. And under the stairs is where there's a little crate storing the ammunition for the cannon. It's got to be in here somewhere. To the right of that, we have the double wooden doors, which of course, as you would expect, can swing open. Whether you simulate that with a small key that's locked away in a chest or not is up to you, but these doors don't lock in any way. And those open to reveal the inside of the mansion, which is sort of a little expansive, little extra back play area. To me, this sort of reminds me of the backside of playsets like the Velociraptor kitchen set from Jurassic World Park's anniversary in 2018, or even the Hoth Medical Chamber also from 2018. Where it's kind of like a partial interior on the back of a wall, whereas the main interior is actually on the front, technically. Anyway, we've got a couple of things to look at. This is recreating one of the chapel rooms, a bit indiscreetly here. We've got a candlestick on the wall, a picture of Yeto and Yeta, and then a big pew here. This pew obviously appear in the rooms where you fight the Chillfoss. The Chillfoss drop down from the ceiling in between them, and then you have to roll around with the ball and chain. This feature actually does tie into the ball and chain, which we'll take a look at later. So you've got some different options for play. Either the Chillfoss or, of course, Link holding the ball and chain can smash the bench and it will explode, shattering into nothing. And of course, the candelabra is on a jumper plate, so it can fall over too. Just adding to the destructive play, of course, that we have on as an option here. Let's move over to the left-hand side. This section is actually fully attached. It's not detachable, you might have assumed. And this is, of course, the Freezard is in his cage. Down the bottom, you can actually see through a little bit of a bar to see that there is a treasure chest underneath him. So we're going to have to smash and melt him to get at this chest. Looking inside, of course, the bars, you can see that his mouth is lined up with the entrance. His eyes are a little bit obscured, but it does the job. And of course, you could pretend that he's shooting out his ice breath very dangerously. And of course, you've got a little gap in the top so that he can be easily positioned as well. But the goal, of course, is to remove him no matter how you do that, whether you fight him or whatnot, it doesn't really matter. Either way, you break him down to reveal the gap with the treasure chest underneath, which you can open up or remove the chest to find, well, one of two things. A soup ingredient? Well, that's a thing from the dungeon, of course. As you guys know, this is the dungeon where Yeta and Yeta lead you around, misleading you with food items. So we have all of those here. We have the reek fish in the new red herring color, the pumpkin representing the Ordon pumpkin, and of course the Ordon cheese as well. All ingredients that are used in the soup in this side cauldron build, and you can see that all three of those fit in there. Cute little detail to include in a set like this. I really, really like it. But of course, the main actual item here is the ball and chain, which you can see represented here using the spiked pyramidal pieces on a brick on a chain that can be swung around to do some damage to enemies or just to flail around, break the bench and so on. But of course, that might be the build for this set, but we're not technically done. We've got to talk about the figures because they make up a portion of the piece count and a lot of the play. So first up from this set, we have the Ice Wizrobe. This is the classic variant that would have appeared in the classic games, such as Link to the Past, but this is specifically based off his model in A Link Between Worlds, which is a little bit more cuter, a little more interesting. We've got a skirt piece coming over some mid legs, a simple torso with a basic print, some blue hands, and a minifigure head that is just printed correctly with a classic wizard hat on the top. Yes, I know you could use a combination of hood pieces, a ninja hat or something, or even make a custom piece for him, but remember, this series was all about being realistic. This requires no new mold, and it's a great figure to have as an addition, so I quite like the idea that he can be done with simplistic parts and still look great. That's the only actual physical figure in the set, but I count these guys too. These guys are modified skeletons using the longer with the skeleton legs in white, normal skeleton torso, normal skeleton arms, a brick-built staff to recreate their icy weapon, and then a head build made up of a cone and a pneumatic T-poser. Still not quite sure if this is a legal build or not, but we're going to go with it. This, of course, was pioneered by the LEGO ZELDA back in the day as well, but it's just great. It suits the characters perfectly. Ideally custom head mold or reusing another specific piece that I can't think of, but I really like how these guys look, and I'm paying a little bit of a homage to some of our older our elders in the Zelda custom community as well today. Next up, we have the Freezard from Ocarina of Time, and this is what I meant when these guys were a substantial portion of the play. Not only does this guy made of about 20-25 parts, but also includes a stud shooter to represent the icy breath that they can launch in order to freeze a Link. And you can see that this is a very abstract guy. He's built up a variety of different pieces in transparent blue, transparent clear, and some other shades as well, with a white stud shooter and a medium blue jumper plate at the top, just to roughly recreate the shape. And to be honest, yeah, it does the job. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's a lump of ice. What did you want from me? Next up, we have the Twilight Princess Freezard. This guy's definitely more of a character. This is something I can definitely do something with. We've got the red eyes printed on a 1x2 transparent brick. He's made up about 90 pieces or so. He's got the teeth in white and the giant mass of a jaw. Definitely recognizable, but definitely looks a little lumpy. But then again, what do you expect from LEGO bricks? I'm not going to dwell on him too much here. But there, yeah, it's a Freezard. It's good. It does the job. Next up, of course, we have the mini freezers. We have 3 of these in the set. These are a minifig head inside of the flame piece that has been recolored into transparent transparent light blue, one of the 2, to recreate this little guy. And I just really like this part usage. Yes, you could probably do a better brick-built version, but I really like how this turned out. With just a printed figurehead, and these guys bounce around, so these will be fun to interact with the ball and chain play feature, but also just to have populating the thing to like get out of the way or get in the way, I should say, and like scoot around, and you could imagine them going ping, 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 and like going backwards and forwards. Cute build. One of the big inspirations for making this set back in Wave 2 as well. And then the big upgraded figure for this one, you can see it, the original at the top and then the newer version down below. This is the Ice Keys, of course based off the Ocarina of Time version and the Breath of the Wild version sort of molded together. As you can see by that image there, the original one does not look good at all and has no face. But the new version based off Breath of the Wild has the pink eye print and a small core built around a 1x1 brick. I was particularly inspired by the Dreams enemies when it came to this redesign, just to try to mix things up and make things work. But I'm really happy with this turned out. Yeah, it's a little oversized, but I'd rather it be that than the monstrosity we had before. And then the bat wings in Aqua as well. One thing you'll notice as well is that I'm actually using correct colors as well, because those wings are supposed to be the same color across both of these images, but they're not, because back in Wave 2 I was not using a LEGO color palette. But that is neither here nor there. One last look at the bats for you, and let's move on. So of course this is an army building set, so it is important to mention that this, you could accumulate multiple troops. If you bought 4 sets, you would get 4 Wizrobes, 4 Ocarina of Time Freezards, 4 Twilight Princess Freezards, 4 Ice Keys, I can't do the maths, 8 Chilfos and 12 mini Freezards, giving you quite the fearsome army. And with 4 war builds, I bet you could do quite a lot of recreations of the snowpeak manor. There's actually one last thing I wanted to talk about, and that is the designing process for a remaster like this. There of course are plenty of things you could add to a set that was maybe a little lackluster by increasing the budget, but as always I like to set myself limitations. When approaching this one, I knew that the only way I'd be happy was if I could add more to the build, and that probably comes down to me not really understanding the concept of an ice bounce pack and what it would actually need to succeed. Now, I was still determined to keep to the original brief and not retcon anything that we've done, hence why I chose to still keep it as just the larger battle pack. If those didn't exist in Star Wars, I would have challenged myself to stick to the £15 price and probably would have cut half the figures in order to get a little bit of a build, or maybe add a bookcase or something trash, and it would have been worse for it. Upgrading the set to double the budget and still fitting in with thematics of a larger battle pack still definitely works here, but as you can see on your screen, there were plenty of additions that I still didn't make. Some of these more questionable than others. A torch for a figure to hold that could light the cannon. This one's technically included on the side of the cannon, but an actual torch would have been nice. A second treasure chest to house the ball and chain. What's the point in the ball and chain being under the giant Freezard if you can't access it unless you move the cannon? I suppose that's part of the play loop, but a second treasure chest to store some of the food would not have gone amiss. Ice on the stairs. I really should have added like tooth pieces to the wall, just to make it look a little more slippery. This one's questionable, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that it might make things a little bit cluttered, and having studs on the stairs is so important for figure posing. So I don't know, I regret it sort of, but not really. An ice cube to freeze a Link figurine. Obviously Link isn't included in this set, but if he was, I would have wanted to include one of those large merp pieces in transparent blue, in order for you to like freeze him in like a Mr. Freeze play feature from the 2017 Batman movie sets. Similarly, I've talked about it earlier, small key. It doesn't really fit into the play loop, but it was at one point considered to be included so that you could unlock the door. Again, that one's a debatable one. I feel like it should have been in here. On the interior was supposed to be much bigger. There was supposed to be a bookshelf, using a snot technique just to build it up, just to make it look more like a fancy manor interior. And again, if you had a parts budget, this would be a 2-story build with the floating chandeliers above so that you can like swing about, and it becomes a whole dungeon set, but we'll save that for later down the line. And also a rat. I felt like including a rat in this set. I didn't, but I could have done. But let's wrap things up for today. So that is going to do it for the remastered version of Z0023, the Ice Battle Pack, now with 320 pieces and a much better model for it. Let me know what you think of the concept of the larger Star Wars Battle Pack and whether you think that works for this set, and of course whether it's an improvement, what you add, what you thought of the additions that I cut, and of course that redone keys. I'm a very big fan of that. I think it came out very, very well. Now of course we will be returning to the Wave 8 custom set showcase very soon, but I'm very glad to have this one under my belt, as Z022, the Ganondorf Horseback Jewel, and Z023, the Ice Battle Pack, were 2 of my lowest points during this showcase. Not like emotion, not when I was designing them, is not what I mean, but just when you release a product and you just know that it's begging to be remastered, it's just sad to leave it for 2 years. But it was always, as with both of them, an important thing to wait, because I've grown as a builder, I've developed more ideas, and LEGO's released more inspiration for me to copy, meaning that these sets are better off having been finished so much later. And I'm glad to have finally filled in that hole, as is our goal for this year, within the custom sets to give these guys the love that they deserve. This is going to be the last remaster for a while. Most of the other sets I'm pretty happy with. There are a couple of things, little things here and there, little small just that I'll either make on the community tab or that will be coming later down the line, like later sets that need fixing. But for the rest of this year, I want to focus on finishing the Tears of the Kingdom wave, of course, finishing wave 4 and finishing the gaps. We forget that while there may have been sets that needed remastering, there are still 2 sets missing. One of those, of course, is the Clocktown model. I'm still trying to work out how I want to do it, but I'm confident that I will at least finish designing it within the end of this year. Whether you guys see it in this year is another question, that's my choice, but I will finish it this year for my own New Year's resolution. And then of course the big one, as always, if you guys get us to 1,000 subscribers, the one I will be redoing is the Water Temple, the cancelled Z03, the dungeon expansion, the Twilight Princess Water Temple that leaves such a hole in my heart. I better get designing because we're getting pretty close, so I will see you then, but also next week for another custom set, and this one will be going down back into the depths, and I will see you there. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.